What's going on, guys? Ferocity here. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Let's dive in and discuss Black Ops 7's beta. Now, I've seen a ton of discussion, a ton of thoughts, a ton of opinions, and a ton of criticism regarding this beta. And I'm just going to come out and say, a lot of what I'm seeing is more of a Call of Duty problem than a Black Ops 7 problem. Let's first address the biggest elephant in the room. It's just Black Ops 6 with a new coat of paint. And yeah, there are times where this game feels very Black Ops 6-y, but I will say it is a step ahead of where Black Ops 6 was. Now, does it feel like a full year? No, by no means. I honestly, again, feel like they've just done us such a disservice by releasing Black Ops 7 right after Black Ops 6. Because I think a lot of our minds would be a little bit different if we had a couple years in between the games. And frankly, if Treyarch had a couple more years with this game, I think some of our issues, some of our feelings towards this game, feeling like Black Ops 6 would be alleviated. But yeah, it kind of feels like the same game. They've changed up some things with the UI. They've changed up some things with the HUD. But it just still kind of at its core feels like an add-on to Black Ops 6. And I've seen some people even say it's just Black Ops 6 Season 6. And I get that. Don't get me wrong. This isn't me siding with Activision. I still don't fully believe in this game. I still fully don't believe that this was the right decision. But this is what they're going with. And yeah, it is what it is. And I will piggyback off a comment I made on my initial thoughts after I watched Call of Duty Next and say this kind of does a disservice to being a follow-up to Black Ops 2, in my opinion, as it plays more like Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4 or even Infinite Warfare than it does Black Ops 2. And that's kind of disappointing. I know going to 2035 was a creative choice, and maybe it'll lend itself to being a strong catalyst for storytelling purposes. But when it comes to the multiplayer, it just feels like it was unnecessary. Like, to say this is a follow-up to Black Ops 2, in my opinion, just isn't accurate. It plays like other Black Ops games, not like Black Ops 2. And I'd say that's to its detriment. Now let's talk about some gameplay design decisions, because there are some problems here that I just want to talk about right off the bat. Number one, the doors. I have been an anti-door person in Call of Duty ever since they were first implemented in Modern Warfare 2019. I did not understand their purpose and still don't do this to this day. I don't think it adds a layer to the gameplay. Like, if you watch CDL, the only time they're utilizing doors is maybe when they're capping a hard point. But even then, they're just sort of pointless. And in this game, it's not that they're even pointless. They just block lines of sight, and they make the maps feel a lot more condensed than they need to be. And they're a massive problem. Some of the doors I'm fine with, but the majority of them could just be permanently opened. And I think it would be a flip of a switch, just a click of a button, and they could have some of these doors just stay open for the entire match. They're not adding anything to the gameplay. They're subtracting. And when you have that, it really becomes kind of a disruption of flow to the game. And I think you need it. I think you need to remove them. Sorry. That's how I feel there. And I know a lot of people have talked about the doors. It really just seems like a problem that shouldn't exist. And I feel like any type of playtesting should have been able to like acknowledge that. But for whatever reason, I guess it's just been continuously pushed over by Activision or by Treyarch. I don't really know. Hey guys, just wanted to make a quick amendment because I didn't know this came out. Yeah, they are going to change doors at some point in the Black Ops 7 multiplayer. This is what they said based on feedback we've already seen in the first 24 hours. We'll be making the following changes to the beta in an upcoming update. Forcing specific automatic doors to remain open from the start of the match, increasing how long automatic doors remain open before they close, increasing the distance a player needs to be from the door before it will automatically open, and players can still shoot automatic doors to open them. I like the change. I think that it was definitely necessary, but again, to my previous point, I wonder why this change wasn't really made prior to them releasing the beta. Like, you'd think some playtesting would have gone into it and they would have realized this was a problem. Not sure what was going on, but either way, let's get back to the rest of the video. I also want to say the spawns aren't very good. And this has been like an ongoing problem with Call of Duty for quite some time, where the spawns just seem to always suck and be underwhelming. And what I'd love to see is them try to just restart the spawn logic. Like, I don't know how it was done before in like older Call of Duty games, but it just seemed to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more predictable. And you didn't have these moments that often where you felt like you were getting unfair spawns or that you didn't know where the enemy was coming from. And I really feel in this game, there's so many times where I'm like, I have no clue where they're coming from. And that's more because I could have them spawn on both sides of me. And I don't really like that. I would like to have more consistency to it, especially in game modes like Hardpoint or Domination, where they're objective based. Team Deathmatch and Kill Confirmed, not so much, but it would be nice. I also got to say, the perk balance right now in this game is really, really poor. And I'll start with Dexterity being a massive crutch perk for the entire community, it seems. Everybody is running it because it allows you to aim down sight while you're sliding. It just gives you more ability to play the game at a faster pace, which is required. So people have asked for it to become base kit, and I could see that actually being a really good decision. But if they were to remove Dexterity from perk slot 3, I really don't know what people would run. Like, perk slot 2 is already extremely weak and needs to change in some way, because I don't look at a lot of these perks and think, wow, I can't wait to unlock that perk. Like, I'm basically running Fast Hands or the default Vigilante, and that's it. I just don't care. Like, I feel like the perks provide zero depth to the gameplay right now, because the whole create a class system hinges on what you're running in perk slot 1 plus Dexterity, and then you just kind of have a meaningless perk in perk slot 2, and that's not really adding anything to make create a class better. And again, it makes it feel like this game is more or less an extension of Black Ops 6, because this is the same problem Black Ops 6's create a class had, where the perk imbalance is definitely there, where you have a stacked perk slot and then 2 other perk slots that just feel weak in comparison. So I'd like to see that changed up. I'd like to see different perks get added. And maybe this is where we can bring the conversation back to the pick 10 system. I really feel like the pick 10 system in this game would have done a lot of good for the create a class system. It would have provided something different and not made the game just feel like, once again, an extension of Black Ops 6. It would have felt like its own entity, and maybe even borrowed a little bit from Black Ops 2, which this game is trying to be a sequel of. And again, it just doesn't feel that way at times. And if you're trying to move away from feeling like Black Ops 6, something needs to be done about map sizes. Like, I gotta be honest, the maps in this game are super pretty, but holy smokes, are the maps just so small. They feel so small, they play so small, and it really doesn't allow for the game to really shine. I think there is great gunplay here. I think there's great movement. I think the maps are beautiful, but holy smokes, do they just feel like they're shoe boxes. I want some bigger maps. I want some time to breathe. I want some more, I don't know, just some better maps that just feel like the way Call of Duty should be. And maybe I'll have an interesting viewpoint when Raid comes out and when we play Hijack to see how those maps play with this movement system. And maybe those maps will feel sort of the same as some of these other ones that we've played here in the beta. But I still think there are some good maps here. I still think there are fun elements of what we've been able to experience so far, but it just really feels bogged down by some questionable decisions, but decisions they can definitely change. Where it gets a little bit tougher to make changes, though, are problems with Activision. And this is where I think a lot of us can agree. COD HQ needs to go, man, and it's needed to go for far too long. It's something that I've talked about many times here on this channel, and I'll reiterate again. Getting into the beta is an absolute joke. You boot up COD HQ, you have to restart because there's an update, and then you boot up HQ again to then boot up the beta. The beta requires a restart, so then you have to boot up the HQ again to boot up the beta, and then finally you're into the beta, unless of course you got one of those error screens that didn't allow you to access the beta, or you find out that, oh, I don't have TPM 2.0 for secure boot up, so I now have to put that onto my computer, even though, guess what guys, I'm sure you're all surprised, there's already cheaters in the beta. So all of this kind of culminates to, once again, being an annoying process just to get into the game. And I'm not necessarily knocking the secure boot and all that stuff. I think it's a good idea. But when there's already cheaters in the beta, come on, man. It feels like another feeble attempt to prevent cheaters. And it just hasn't gone well for Activision in the past. And then there's, of course, the matchmaking problems that Call of Duty has had for years. And I want to make a bit of a different video regarding matchmaking and skill-based matchmaking later on, maybe sometime next week. But man, people are feeling the SBMM heat, and people are feeling like the SBMM is turned up and it creates a less enjoyable environment. And I don't know what they use for their parameters. I don't know what they use to try to perfect engagement, but whatever they're doing just simply isn't working, and it does feel at times like the experience is inauthentic. It doesn't feel genuine. And when players notice that and they take notice of it, they're less likely to play your game. So I really don't know what is going on behind the scenes, but it's very clear to a lot of people that skill-based matchmaking is influencing their experience in a negative way. And if I was Activision, I would be trying to reverse course on that, especially for a beta, right? You're trying to put your best foot forward. You're already a little bit behind the 8 ball because of your whole decision to release Black Ops 7 right after Black Ops 6. So maybe kind of throw the community a bone here and just like try to make it better for people. But that's really probably not going to happen. So those are sort of my summed up criticisms thus far of the Black Ops 7 beta. I do have things that I like, which I'll talk about in tomorrow's video, but this was more so elements I'd like to see changed, criticisms, and just overall observations. It needs to get better. It's definitely a better starting point, I'd say, than where we were this time last year with Black Ops 6. So there's a lot of room to grow still, but at least I feel that a lot of the core gameplay mechanics are there that just needs some little bit of tweaking and some little bit of Activision intervention. So those are my thoughts. It's time to turn it over to you guys so you guys can let me know what you think. What would you like to see? What needs to be changed? What's working? What's not? Let me know with a comment down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.